We got a good one today here, folks. I am fired up about this. I'm going to go hard on this one, I think, but don't worry, at the end, I'm going to tie this back to how this affects all of us as artists, music producers, and what lesson we can all learn from this. Today, I'm talking about integrity by using an example of what I believe to be a lack of integrity by a certain company. But hey, if you're new here, welcome. My name is TAETRO. This is a TAETRO rant today, and I just want to let you know that I just put out 2 songs last week, one being a really chill lo-fi beat called Daydream. You can go listen to that on Spotify, all the streaming platforms. The other is from my electronic pop project called FaceX, and that tune is called Ghost Me. I even put out a music video, so you should check that out. Links to that are all in the description. Nonetheless, before we get into today's rant, I want to give a couple shout outs from last week's rant, which was all about money and about not putting money first before you've even learned the craft of what you're trying to do. Shout out to Melody Mind, who says, loved this. It can be frustrating when I see that I'm not getting a ton of streams, but I also remember that it isn't the current objective. Right now, I'm just trying to become a better producer/artist while having lots of fun producing songs. The goal is to make money, but that's not what I'm focused on yet. That's a very good mindset to have. Another great comment, Max Quantum says, great, I really appreciate that you dare to talk about what nobody likes to hear, but everybody has to hear. There's just one thing, if you have some real estate in New York City, you don't have to build a hotel, you're already immensely rich. Yeah, I agree with that, that's a good point. Yeah, I think the rants definitely ruffle some feathers, but I think a lot of people making content want to just make you feel good, and sometimes in trying to make you feel good, we leave out some of the uglier parts of what we do, or some of the reality checks that we all need. Frank Yeager says, being a successful musician in the era of digital content is far more than just making music, and you summarized this very well here. It's not enough to just be an absurdly talented person. The world is full of people like that. Yes, snaps to that one. What makes you different from people who show up and hit record and nothing else? If you were a stranger and you stumbled upon your own social media, would anything stand out and draw your attention? Great things to think about from Frank Yeager. Yes, the world is full of talented people. We have to not just be talented. There's a lot more work that goes into it beyond that. So keep that in mind. One last one is not a comment shout out, but I want to shout out the reply to this comment. The comment from Kango actually says, talks about a discussion in the comments and proceeds to highlight comments that agree with him. Now that's how it's done. Now, really great reply from this person. I don't know who they are at TAETRO. I'm not sure. They said, yes, a good discussion comes from smart people. Huh, interesting. All right, I'm trolling here a little bit, obviously, but I just want to point out one thing. When I refresh my comments and a comment was posted like 1 minute ago and it already has a like on the comment, I know that you liked your own comment. That's like a common thing for like haters. They like post a comment and give it a thumbs up so it looks like somebody like is affirming what they're saying. I know it was you. You liked your own comment. All right, and if you can tell from my energy, I'm fired up today because I really want to talk about the Behringer Swing. This new MIDI control. Oh, this is not the Behringer Swing. This is the Arturia key step. Interesting. 32 key keyboard with MIDI sequencer, arpeggiator, all that stuff. Oh, it's an easy mistake because when Behringer announced their new swing controller, it looked, in my opinion, near identical to the Arturia key step. And many people took note of this. They announced this in November of 2020. Amidst much controversy, Arturia even put out a statement to say something about it. And Behringer is kind of like known for this, like cloning things. But I feel like it's a step too far. And like I said at the top, we're talking about integrity today, right? We have 60, 70, 80, maybe even 100 years on this planet. And would you choose to start a company that pretty much just looks at the design of other products and says, let's just do that and throw our name on it? It's just a question. This set me off when it came out in November, but recently they released an image because they had to make some changes to the controller to make it not look so much like the key step. I'll put them side by side right now. Tell me if you can see what they changed. Spot the difference. Yes, a few changes there, including they switched the position of the buttons and the knobs, just flipped them. Very original. Now it's an original idea and an original product. Fantastic job, Behringer. Good work. You guys worked really hard on that design, I can tell. Like I said, they're kind of known for this. They also came out with a microphone that looks like this, which I wouldn't necessarily think twice about this, other than the fact that it kind of looks like the Blue Yeti, but they literally called it the Bigfoot. they're not even pretending. Like, obviously it's a publicity thing. Like, they seemingly want to be known as the company that just kind of takes other people's design. Like, they're not really hiding it. From my perspective, that's what it kind of looks like. And that's all well and good. You know, you're a company, you're doing your thing. It's fine when the company's like faceless and voiceless and they're just off doing their own thing. It's like, whatever, that's Behringer doing their thing. But they had the nerve to put out this statement. And I'm quoting from an article that I will link in the description. Competition is a highly effective tool to drive innovation by empowering customers to make their best choices and force manufacturers to constantly reinvent themselves. More like constantly reinvent somebody else's products. Blah, blah, blah. They go on to talk about technicality and the law and how they can basically get around, you know, putting out a keyboard with very, very similar design choices and it not be illegal. Except they had to make a change anyway. And the quote from Behringer goes on to say, however, we also clearly choose to follow successful brands and products while adding more features and or competing on price. Let's put competing on price in bold there. You can, when you save a lot of money on the design process, I assume you can probably cut costs and sell your product cheaper, so it kind of makes sense. Much of our innovation is invisible to the customer. It's invisible, guys. It's innovative. Just trust. It's innovative. We promise. It's just invisible. Look at all this invisible innovation around the Behringer controller. We do understand that we are a fierce competitor. This really got me going. It is our purpose and mission to empower customers who don't have deep pockets and provide them with the best possible equipment at fair prices. A noble cause, I'll give them that. But then they go on to say, we do understand that we are a fierce competitor and at times controversial as we're relentlessly pushing the envelope. Yes, they're really pushing the envelope. They're really great innovators, right, folks? Like, they really went for it just by, like, coming up with their own amazing original designs for these controllers and that microphone, right? Like, I don't understand how delusional or unself-aware you have to be. At least don't put out a statement like this. You cannot say you're pushing the envelope when there's people like Artifon making things like Orba and Instrument One. Like, that's innovation. That's pushing the envelope. Like Sensol with overlays, my friends. Like, this is innovation. This is pushing the envelope. Like, even the controllers that I look at all the time, right? Like I always talk about this, Launch Key and Akai MPK Mini. They've got pads, keys, and knobs, right? But you wouldn't look at one and say, oh, wow, one kind of No, they're doing their own thing. Where is the disconnect? Like, what's the excuse? And I'm bringing it back to integrity. And I also want to say their statement about competing on price is, again, a noble cause. But if you can do that by actually putting out an original product, it'd be a lot more noble. You'd have a lot more integrity. And I don't think that there's any blame on a consumer of a Behringer product either, because if you're somebody who cannot afford a piece of gear and you can get a clone cheaper, I would rather you, in your position, get the clone, start making music, and then one day if you can afford to buy the real thing, go buy the real thing. But it's integrity. What can we as artists learn from this? I think at the end of the day, like when we lay in bed, when we're on our own and we're reflecting back on our lives, when we're reflecting back on our work, we are only accountable to ourselves, right? We can look back and say, I did the best that I could. I feel good about the things that I'm making. They are truly mine. I've impacted people in a positive way. If we check all those positive boxes as artists, we've honestly done the best that we can. And the problem is when people start to live without integrity and it brings them massive profits, like I'm sure Behringer brings in massive profits every year, we can build a lot of ways to kind of insulate ourselves from a lack of integrity, right? We can surround ourselves with people that tell us yes because they want in on the big profits. We can make our lives more comfortable with the profits we've gained by less ethical means. But at the end of the day, those people still have to lay on their bed and reflect on their lives and either convince themselves that they have integrity and that they've made a positive impact, or come to a sad realization that their work will mostly be regarded in a negative light because they chose to go a path of, less integrity, less ethics. And I don't want that for anybody. I don't want that for any of you artists out there. I don't want that for any company or any creative person who gets into like making stuff. And of course, we all have to start somewhere, but at a certain level, we're not just kids in a basement making our own little machines that kind of look like things. Like, you're a massive company. Why not try to push the envelope, as you say? Why not try to actually innovate the market of MIDI controllers and sequencers? Don't go about it and say that you are pushing the envelope and that you are innovating in this field because, well, in my opinion, you're not at all. As artists, of course, you could hire a ghostwriter and go on tour and be hugely successful, and somebody else writes your music, and then you'll have crowds cheering. Everybody will tell you they love your music, but you're going to climb into bed at the end of the day and know that it's not your music and that they don't really love you. They love somebody else's work. That's just one example. And sometimes a less ethical pathway is an easier pathway. Sometimes it's a shortcut. Sometimes it's deceptive, and sometimes it makes people believe things that aren't actually true, and that might be easier for us to get ahead. But does that really matter at the end of the day? On the last day of your 99-year life, when you look back, are you going to be proud? You might be in a mansion, but when it's time to go, are you going to be like, I did it, I'm proud? Or are you just going to be like, I did something? I want all artists and all creatives, all people. I mean, this is music. They go on to compare it to cars and things like that and mobile phones. And it's like, this is music. We're artists. Like, if you're an instrument maker or if you're a person that plays the instrument, and so many of the people that I know at these brands, Arturia, Novation, they are music makers and instrument makers. We can be better than other industries, can't we? I think if all of us can push to live with a little more integrity and make the ethical choices rather than the easy choices, rather than the shortcuts, that we can just make a better world by each individually making better choices. And again, that's not to say to blame anybody that has any Behringer gear in their home studios right now. It is not on the consumer to make that choice. If you can make that choice, fantastic. I highly encourage you to do that. But some people don't have that choice due to budget, due to access. It is not on you. It's on these companies to step forward and do the thing that's ethical, to do the thing that's right, to have integrity. I just think it's important. This was another TAETRO rant. I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll be back again next week with a brand new TAETRO rant. Conversation continues in the comments. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. I would love to hear it. Of course, I absolutely welcome people who disagree. Absolutely, without a doubt. But we can have a discussion and disagree in a respectful way. Sometimes people disagree and are super disrespectful, and I just have no tolerance for it. So leave your comment. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. Give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Make sure you're subscribed because I've got lots of awesome beat videos. I've got a chill beat playlist. I'm doing tutorials and live streams, all kinds of fun stuff on this channel. Don't forget to check out my new track Daydream and my new track Ghost Me on my other project. It would mean the world to me if you check that out. That's going to be it for now. Thank you for watching another TAETRO rant. Have a good one.